DFS talk around the NFL for Week 13. DraftKings contributors Geoff, Ulrich, Pearce, Dietrich, Rotowire's Alan Seslowsky are back. So, guys, since we talked to you last, DeAndre Swift of the Lions, the running back, has been ruled out with a shoulder injury. So the Lions are going to be hosting the Vikings. And Daniel Jones, quarterback for the Giants, are going to be in Miami on Sunday. He's been ruled out. I think Geoff kind of mentioned that earlier, right? It's like the Mike Glennon game now down in South Beach. So NFL splurge or save. You don't want to be splurging on either one of those guys this weekend. So you're paying up or saving salary at the following positions on this Week 13 main slate. Ulrich, start me out at quarterback, dude.
And all my Daniel Jones, John Ross stacks just out the window now. I can't do that play. I do like another cheap quarterback, though. I think this is a very, very good spot for Tyrod Taylor this week at 5,300. He's been a little bit of a disappointment, maybe since returning from injury. I think some people trying to target him as a cheap option. Hasn't cracked 20 DK fantasy points since week 1, but the rushing has been there. He averaged 15 yards rushing last week. The attempt, so he just looks a little bit healthier. And realistically, it's just the matchup here against the Indianapolis Colts. They're 9-point underdogs. I think you're going to see a lot of that garbage time happen that hasn't happened over the last few games with the Texans. That's just going to lead to a few more rushing attempts. And the Colts, I mean, they're just not that good a pass defense. They've allowed the 5th most yards to opposing quarterbacks, passing yards this season. So I think Tyrod Taylor is going to have a few more pass attempts than people realize. I think he's going to be picking up some more garbage yards. And at 5,300, if this guy gets you 22, 24 points, maybe he finds the end zone. Maybe he makes this game competitive. I think he's very viable at 5,300 this week.
All right, Alan, go ahead and just tell me why you're chasing Mike Glennon on the slate now.
Actually, I like that Tyrod Taylor call. That's pretty sneaky. I'm going to add a couple of those in. I'm paying up for Tom, 7,200. Leonard Fournette had his fun last week, 4 touchdowns. TB12 sees the MVP race is wide open. I'd expect 4 or 5 touchdowns from him, from Brady on Sunday. I really like Tom Brady to dominate the slate. I'm paying up.
And unlike the Eagles there, I mean, Tampa Bay just keeps passing regardless of the score. And I know that bugged Pearce earlier in this show.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go with all-neck team all-star Mike Glennon, but I will go with another equally bad quarterback, even probably worse than Tyrod Taylor. Ben Roethlisberger. Well, he got you 12 points last week in garbage time and probably one of his worst games of his career. 12 points. On the road, he's been notoriously bad. On the road, he's going to be at home, so he's going to be a little bit better. And in garbage time, I would imagine if his worst-case scenario is 12 points, he should be able to get at least 15 points at $5,000. That should work. We mentioned earlier in the show, Baltimore's pass defense, not that great. Man-to-man coverage, can allow some explosive plays. And at this price, you only need a couple of those explosive plays. And then the biggest point here is Pittsburgh can't run the ball. Baltimore can't stop, or Baltimore has a really good run defense. So you're looking at possibly 50 passes for $5,000. I'll take that volume every day.
Dude, I was looking at the Dolphins' schedule. So since Halloween, just because Mike Glennon's in the conversation now. Since Halloween, that's when the Dolphins face Josh Allen. They face quarterbacks. It's going to be Mike Glennon, Cam Newton, P.J. Walker, Joe Flacco, Tyrod Taylor. And next week, they're going to get Zach Wilson. So there's a pretty good chance the Dolphins are going to be riding like a 6-game win streak following next week. What about at running back? Is there a guy you definitely want to splurge for here, Pearce, or you're feeling like you're going to save at this position?
I'll splurge, but it does seem like some of this value has opened up. But I just don't see how you get away from Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's in a great spot. Alan talked about this earlier. This is a Bengals team that runs the ball. He could see, the last 2 weeks, they've just fed him big time. But even when Mixon gets 16 or more carries, the Bengals are 7-0. I mean, I'm not the coach there, but I think they probably realize that, hey, when we run the ball with Mixon more, we win games. Their offensive line ranks in the top 10. They've got a dream matchup against a Chargers team that just can't stop the run. It's just not in their DNA. It's not a part of their system. They give up tons of yards per carry. They're the worst in DVOA. 1,300-plus rushing yards this season. Second most touchdowns this season. It's just a dream spot for Mixon, and I have no problem paying this price.
Okay, Alan, what about you? Is there a price you don't mind paying?
Speaking of the necks from we were talking about Glenn, and my neck was nodding yes with that Joe Mixon call. I love that. But I'm shopping in the 6K and below range for my running backs this week. I like James Conner, 5,900 with no Chase Edmonds. Conner's been TD machine, 12 on the season, only second in the NFL to Jonathan Taylor. Even if Kyler Murray's back, and it's looking like he will play, Arizona doesn't want to use him proactively at the goal line when they have their bulldozer James Conner to do the dirty work. That's the player I am rostering in most of my lineups this week.
What do you want to do at running back, Geoff?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't mind paying up for Joe Mixon. I think that's a solid call. I think Najee Harris is actually going to be a sneaky pay-up option, and we'll be able to pay up for a lot of these guys because when we get to tight end, man, there's a ton of cheap tight ends. But Antonio Gibson at 5,700, I feel like people have just forgotten that he got 36 touches last week. J.D. McKissic has not practiced at all this week, likely going to miss the game. Antonio Gibson going up against the Vegas Raiders rush defense, yes, sign me up. I know he hasn't been that efficient on the ground, but how does he not push for 25-plus touches here? Washington loves to run the ball. They're 6th in rush attempts per game. Vegas, 11th worst yards per carry rush against. I think Gibson at 5,700 should be the chalk of the week, but he's not really trending like that. Love paying down, up, middle for him, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, we have less than 5 minutes to go in the show, so if you want to get to tight end here, guys, you're going to have to speed it up. Geoff, I'll let you go first at wide receiver. Is this a position you're going to splurge or save?
This will be really easy. We can splurge at wide receiver. Justin Jefferson is 8,200, and he's playing the Detroit Lions. Everyone's going to play Madison. Go with the passing stacks there. I mean, again, it's Justin Jefferson versus Detroit. So.
Yep. Allen.
Brandon Ayuk with Debo out 5,600, coming off the bus with 7 targets in his pocket. I'm playing him. He could easily see double-digit targets.
All right, Pearce, wide receiver, what you want to do?
Let's save. Has everyone forgot about Josh Reynolds? The guy broke the Thanksgiving slate. He's $3,400. No one is talking about Josh Reynolds. I know Detroit's bad, but this is arguably a better matchup. Minnesota, bottom third of the league when it comes to wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 against slot receivers. You don't really need much at this price. You want to play the Goff narrative, fine, or you can just play the narrative. Who else are they going to pass the ball to in a game where they're big dogs?
Yeah, 3 catches, 70 yards, that touchdown, 16 DK fantasy points on Thanksgiving. So here we go. This is when Geoff Ulrich shines week in and week out. And honestly, Pearce, Dietrich, you've kind of become that tight end guy as well. Geoff, it sounds like you're saving at tight end. Just how low are you going?
I mean, we could have just done the whole segment on tight ends. There's like 5 guys you can play under 3K this week. It's amazing. You can go with the double sub 3K tight end stack if you want. I'm going to start with James O'Shaughnessy, our guy from Jacksonville, Emerson. Dan Arnold, IR. James O'Shaughnessy played over 80% of the snaps last week. 8 targets in week 1, 5 targets last week. The Jacksonville Jaguars have given tight ends at least 5 targets in 8 games this year. They're playing the Rams. Really, their pass defense not so good. I could see with Jacksonville being, big underdogs in this game, O'Shaughnessy pushing for 8+ targets again. But look, we've got the Isle of Foster Moreau. We've got Zach, the gentleman Gentry in Pittsburgh, probably going to be picking up a ton of snaps. And we've got Donald Parham Jr. There's too many guys. I'll leave some for Pearce. He's probably got some guy I've never heard of to talk about too. So.
Yeah, very similar to your call last night for the Thursday night showdown, Pearce. Again, I felt like it was a creative player for you. It was hilarious. What do you want to do at tight end? Because there is only one guy who's playing who's at least $6,000. That's Mr. Mandrews.
Yeah, that pick last night wasn't quasi-accurate. It wasn't semi-accurate. It was just bad.
Yeah.
But who can I mention? I mean, Geoff pretty much tackled all the tight ends right there. I literally just got done editing Geoff's article where he goes over every single one of those plays. So check out DK Nation, and you get some more tight end analysis. I'm going to go with O'Shaughnessy. I think you get some low ownership here. No one's going to go to him. No one likes playing Jags. But I think the game script's going to work out well for them. And also, if you're going to punt or take a risk, tight end's fine. You can miss at tight end, and it's not going to hurt you. Whereas if you miss another position, you're dead. So I have no problem going with O'Shaughnessy. And I don't know if I'll go back to Moreau. He made me look pretty bad earlier this season, but we'll see.
All right, Allen, how bad is it for you at tight end?
I think all the sharp players like Geoff and Pearce are going to chew up all the value at tight end. Moreau might be 70% owned. I like Gronk for the same reasons I pointed to earlier with Brady. This could be a 4 or 5 touchdown game for Brady, and at least 1 or 2 of those are going to end up in Gronk's belly. I'd say it's a good bet we see the Gronk spike this weekend.